and welcome to my channel. My name is Anya and this is going to be both not necessarily a wrap up for my Shop My Stash for April, but I am going to swap a couple of these products out for new ones that I have beside me here. My last Shop My Stash, I called it the Quarantine Shop My Stash, I think. I picked a lot of items and I said in that video that chances are that's going to be for 2 months, not one. And for the majority of these items it is indeed going to be for 2 months, but I have a couple of the items, like some of the complexion products in here, that I can pick and swap out because I have now used them. I'm gonna say right away, all of my lip products, which are the NYX Soft Matte Lip Creams, they are still in this little tower. I reorganized them today because I took all of them to my cabin this weekend and had to reorganize them, and yeah, I'm still using them, getting through them. They're gonna stay. So are all of the eyeshadows here. As well as anything in this little pencil holder. Most of everything else, except for these eyeshadows and the basics things that are in here every month, I'm going to swap out because I've used them. Forgot to mention this, I finished this. This is the Colourpop No Filter Concealer in the white shade. It's empty. I finished it fairly early and I have been using the product that I am going to officially swap in its place. But it's done. I am going to swap out the Makeup Revolution Concealer and Define. I have the shade C1 and it's my first time using it and it worked fairly fine. It's not a new favourite. I don't think it compares to the Tarte Shape for me, but I did enjoy it. But I have another one that I want to play with this month, so I'm going to put this back. I'm also going to put this foundation back. I ended up using a surprising amount of it. This is the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless in 110. It is a tad bit too dark, but it was fine. I used it. Let's see. This Fenty highlighter in How Many Carats I've also used and enjoyed a fair amount. But I'm going to put it back. I'm going to put all of my blush and highlighters and bronzers and stuff except for this NYX one in taupe that I haven't used, and the Anastasia Moonchild because I haven't used that either. But the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk blush I really did enjoy. It works really wonderful on my skin and it's a really nice, soft, almost like a pinky peachy brownie neutral colour. I also enjoyed both of these. The blush here, which is Court of Miracles, is a very lovely colour and it's one of those colours that I really like wearing. And Horse and Carriage is a really lovely highlighter that suits my pale skin very well. I used the Tanya Burr Sweet Cheeks palette and I enjoyed the blush in here a lot. I find it to be a little bit of a strange composition of a palette in a way, because I find that this highlighter doesn't work well with the blush. It ends up being too icy and too pale. The bronzer is also not my favourite because it is a bit too shimmery and whatnot for me, but overall as a palette I didn't hate the products. I also used my number 7 blush. This is in Damson Mist, and it might have been because there was some leftover blush on the brush I was using, it ended up looking a lot less cool on my cheeks than I expected, because in here it looks almost like a purpley pink, very cool toned pink, but on my cheeks it ended up looking very nice and natural, slightly peachy in a way, which is why I think I had something else on the blush brush I was using. But it was very flattering and I did like it. And I have another colour in this blush line, which is their powder blushes, and they're really, really nice. Let's see, I'm going to keep this one. I've been using it with the colour corrector and enjoying it a lot. I am going to move and swap out all of my lip glosses. So I have the Disney Colourpop Designers Bippity Boppity Boo Gloss. They are fairly good glosses and I like the formulation a lot. Not all that fond of all of the colours. I didn't really like this one, but I've used them, so I'm going to put them back. And I think that's everything that is getting swapped here. So I can now just add in everything else that I'm adding in. I'm adding in 2 Sydney Grace Base products, and I have a blush and a highlighter. The highlighter I think is in Duchess and the blush is First Date. I have them in this little palette because they came as single pans for me. And I really like the colour of the blush. I know the highlighter might be a bit too warm, but I haven't properly tried it out, so I want to do that. I'm adding in several face palettes this month just because it was easiest. This is the Isadora Face Sculpture in Nude, and it has a really lovely 2 set of bronzers. The highlighter for me is sort of, it doesn't really look like a highlighter. It ends up being almost like a slight powder, like a setting powder, with a tiny bit of glow. I enjoy the tones of these bronzers a lot. This ends up being more cool toned, which works well for contouring. And this ends up being a really lovely bronzing tone on me because it is very, very yellow. As I think you can see, it's not very orange. And it's also not very dark. This just works very well for me and I want to use it. Another couple of blushes I'm adding in. This is a sleek palette in lace and it has 3 blushes, or all of them fairly orangey in tone. I have used this in the past and I love it, and I'm really in the mood for orange blush at the moment. My final blush is the NYC Colour Wheel in Pink Cheek Glow. I've had this for many years and it's on the chopping block. I'm going to test it this month to see if it's still any good. Otherwise I'm going to declutter it. Last time I used it, it wasn't applying as smoothly as it did when I bought it, so I do want to check that it's still good. I'm adding in 3 more lip glosses. I have this e.l.f. Aqua Tint in Rouge Radiance, which is a sheer red. I really like the formulation of that. It ends up staining slightly red and it's very sheer, so I do like that. I'm not a big fan of colourful glosses, but that, because it is so sheer, just is amazing. And then I have this Certain Glory Sexy Mother Packer in Plum Sup, which is a mini that I got in a kit. I haven't used this before, so I don't know how to think about it. And then I have the other Fenty gloss that I own, and this is in Diamond Milk, and I like this a lot. It's sheer, slightly whitish. You can probably see with a lot of silver shimmer, very similar to the How Many Carats highlighter. The white mixer I'm adding in is the NYX Pro Foundation Mixer. I have the shade White. I like this a lot, so it's been living in here since early April because I finished the Colourpop concealer fairly quickly, but I thought I should formally add it in. I am adding in this primer. This is the No. 7 Airbrush Away. This is a mini and I've been using it a couple of times already because my Fenty primer, which is my favourite and it's right here, is almost out. And I expect to finish that this month. I've been able to finish it for a couple of months now. I've just not used it because I like it so much and I don't want to use it. But there's no point in me holding on to it until it goes bad. And this ends up being fairly similar on my skin and it does very similar things. So I have a couple more products I want to test this Fenty primer with. I hope I can make it stretch to all of them. But this is a product that does the same thing for my skin, but not quite as well. But I'm going to be using that sort of for everything else that isn't testing out. I am also adding in this primer. This is from Rimmel, the Fix and Perfect makeup primer. I've had this for a little while and I'm going to check that it's still good. I think it is. It doesn't smell weirdly or anything. But I think this is going to be a little bit similar to the No. 7 one, but this is one I do want to eventually pan. I am coming close to panning some of the primers in my project pan, and this is one that I'm considering rotating in next, and I just want to check that I can wear it and it doesn't break me out or anything, so that's why it's going in here. I am going to add in a brow gel. This is the Makeup Mekka Maximum Brows. I have the shade Medium. I just want to see how I like this. I know I like it, but I've been enjoying not doing anything to my brows recently because it saves me time and energy, and I want to see if I can use this in that spot because it has a slight tint. I am adding in 3 foundations. I have the Ideal Skin liquid foundation from Makeup Mekka in Porcelain, and I also have the Mattifying Camouflage foundation from Makeup Mekka in Porcelain and Neutral Fair. I tend to mix these colours. I find them to not be very different in terms of how they feel and look on the skin, so I tend to just mix all 3 of them together, but I want to give them a go and play around with them for this month and see how it goes. I have been using my Hourglass stick foundation a couple of times and I have reached my conclusion, so I now just have to find the energy to film that review and that goes up. But in the meantime I have other stuff to go through, and this month's pick were the Makeup Mekka foundation. For powders I have a loose and a pressed. My loose is the Makeup Mekka Mineral Sapphire Loose Setting Powder. I want to test to see. I think this is going to be too dark, as it looks like it's going to be too dark, but I want to give it a shot first. So that's in here. And the other one here is an Isadora one. It's the Anti-Shine Mattifying Powder in Matte Blonde. I haven't used this in a while. I don't really know how I feel about it. I want to familiarise myself with this, so I'm going to play around with it. I'm adding in 3 lip liners, just because. I'm adding in the Makeup Mekka Universal waterproof lip liner. This is a clear one that can be used for anything. I'm adding in the Maybelline Gigi Hadid Austin lip liner, which is an orange. And then I have this one from Rimmel, the Exaggerate in Addiction, which is a fairly neutral, slightly pinky brown. I still have all of my Makeup Mekka lip liners in here, and at the moment it feels like they're kind of going to be in here all year, but I am coming close to 2 of them, along with some in my project pan, and I have a couple of oranges and whatnot in here that need a little bit of help. So I did want an orange lip liner, and now I have it. I'm going to be adding in another setting spray along with my mini illuminating one from Cover FX. This is the matte version. I have it. It's a small one, and I want to use it. And my final 2 items is a concealer, and this is the Makeup Mekka Invisible Cover Radiant Boosting Mineral Concealer in Light. And a highlighter here is the NYX Illuminating Powder in Powdered Sugar, which I think may have been limited edition for a Christmas release a couple of years ago. But it has a pink base and a gold shifting shimmer. Hopefully the camera will pick it up and you can see. And I think that's about as organised as this drawer is going to get. It's very full, but that's just what it is. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the Shop My Stash, and I hope you are staying safe, and I will see you next time. Bye!